Vigilante stalking and the covert use of advanced electronic weapons on vigilante stalking targets is basically the use of lies, again lies, to motivate networked groups of citizens to destroy the lives of their innocent targets. These programs are about the ongoing efforts to expose this activity and hopefully to stop it. There are literally thousands of websites providing information about these crimes. I'm going to share some of these anecdotes from the targets of vigilante stalking and harassment who have submitted these anecdotes for posting on our websites. These reports are, here in 2005, coming into me like the torrent over Niagara Falls. These are only a small fraction of reports, and I can tell you, listener, that both living through such things and hearing reports from all over the world non-stop is a very harrowing experience. These are not made-up stories for sensationalism. They are not mental illness either. This from N. When I began to suspect someone was behind all of this in the fall of 2004, I encountered all kinds of additional problems, including mail being lost, false charges appearing on my credit card, static and clicks on my phone, lots of hang-ups, and problems with my television reception. Then the situation got worse, and I knew something wasn't right, and that this wasn't all random. The walls of my bedroom began to give off loud rapping sounds at night, very loudly, as though someone was throwing stones at the wall. A lot more happened besides this, but it is impossible to explain and makes me look a little crazy to talk about it. Desperate, fearful, and not knowing where to turn for help, I fled my house and moved in with my parents. I am 40 years old. This from N. Not only are there instances of multi-stalkers, some of these stalkers have followed me from one state to another. Because of my job, I had to make a move from a state in the Southwest to a state in the Midwest, some 2,000 or so miles away. There were very few of us in my work group who made that move. The license plates from the old state, the one I was moving from, had very loud colors and were quite noticeable. Even a co-worker noticed a car with plates from the old state which was lurking around our new place of employment. He mentioned that he did not recognize the car or the two men who were in the car. I recognized them as two of my stalkers from the old state who are now stalking me at my new job location and in my new apartment. Eleanor White talking. Incredible as it sounds, multiple stalker victims report that the stalking groups are sometimes able to enlist the aid of various stores and other public service providers. This shows clearly that the multiple stalking phenomenon is much larger and runs much deeper than with single stalker cases. I have had a number of incidents as described above where commercial organizations have participated in the harassment. Remember, listeners, that vigilante stalking gangs have lots and lots of tradesmen, including highly technical trades. And it is pretty obvious from reading David Lawson's book, Terrorist Stalking in America, that a lot of this telephone-based harassment is easy for them to do because they have people on the inside at the telephone company. At least one story has been sent in where one senior is being harassed and that person's spouse is gravely ill. Seniors with minimal income and no way to fight back. This is how low the perpetrators go when choosing people to torture. One man in his 80s is being severely harassed. Here's an anonymous email, and by the way, I know these people. They're not anonymous to me. They only ask that their stories be posted anonymously. This is from September 2004. I will go through periods where nobody will ever even talk to me or be bothered. My sister has just up and stopped talking to me. She's the type of person that would ordinarily tell me if she had a problem with me, but suddenly she doesn't want to hear from me. I contact her and she doesn't answer, but she will talk with others in the family. My brother, who is a straightforward person, never seemed to have problems with me most of the time, and will now argue with me continually and try to nitpick at me and get me into useless debates. If I say it's raining, he will say it's sunny outside, just for the hell of it. Even people on the bus I ride to school or work that I am friendly with will stop talking to me and look the other way, like they're afraid of me or something, and I don't do anything but be nice and mind my business. People at work will turn on me for no reason, and professors at school will sometimes look at me like I'm an alien from another planet. Then, oddly enough, there are times when it will go away, and then suddenly out of the blue it starts up again. I'm a very strong person, but sometimes I swear it feels like I'm going to snap and lose it. But then I pull myself together with help from God and go on. This from F in September 2004. I noticed I was being stalked in 1996. There were cars following me everywhere I went. I would say up to 30 cars. I had never had anything like that happen to me before. I was terrified. They seemed to know when I was going to leave the house or work. People at work started treating me like I was a criminal. My children, who are adults and live out of state, didn't believe me. I still have a very distant and strained relationship with them. I noticed the stalking from September 96 to March of 97. It has ruined my life. I have no friends or family support, and it has started again. I live in Texarkana, Texas. There have to be other victims in this town. If you have heard from anybody, please let me know. I will try and document what is happening as best I can put it, but it would be so much better if I had someone who knew the hell I am going through. We could help one another. In 1996-97, there were strange people who moved into houses on both sides of me. The ones on the north side seemed to know when I would be in my kitchen, because as soon as I would walk in the kitchen, they would come out in their backyard and just stare at me through my window. There were always 5 or 6 of them. One day I drove by the police department to see if they would follow me there. They did. I also saw several of the cars that had been following me parked at the Bi-State Justice Building, which houses the police department as well as the county court. We need to stop these people from torturing others. I have always been a law-abiding citizen and have never done anything to deserve this. This is from Jay in October 2004. For about 2 years now, I have seen an increasing number of police in the mix in terms of my gang stalking. They use a lot of teenagers and borderline mentally retarded as well to cause trouble and say things so that I will react to them. 5 minutes later, the police will ride by. Or if I'm on the phone and I say I'm going somewhere, there will be a squad car waiting for me, or in one case, more than one squad car waiting for me. Eleanor White talking. During 1 month, after handing a copy of David Lawson's book review of his Terrorist Stalking in America to a local police officer, I found every time I walked around my city, I could count on seeing a couple of police vehicles minimum in places they are rarely seen. Others have reported this same kind of thing. Please keep in mind, listener, that according to Terrorist Stalking in America, some police officers support vigilante stalkers as an unacknowledged part of the justice system. Jay continues, once I was driving with my husband and a squad car came out of nowhere and almost hit us. Then he slowly turned around, I guess to catch our emotional response to it. Now I keep a camera with me at all times to take pictures of the cars and license plates. At every job and every place I have lived, there is defamation of character and no support from supervisors or the higher-ups who are aware of this. I've been gang stalked by firefighters and ambulance drivers along with cops. I'm in the Cleveland, Ohio area. I also have the sirens go off in the morning a lot. My neighbors are all yelling about that all the time. Eleanor White commenting, often neighbors are co-opted as perps, meaning perpetrators, and will refuse to acknowledge blatant harassment, including noise, even though it's so obvious and so loud it can't be denied. It is good to hear that in this case, neighbors aren't pulling that particular harassment trick. Anonymous continues, firemen, police, and other respected members of our community doing gang harassment and stalking needs to be exposed. Firemen doing gang stalking is happening to many people in San Francisco, and it needs to be all over the media. The gang stalking that a friend of mine is experiencing personally is really beyond criminal. It is being done by firemen, police, and other people that the target doesn't have any relationship with. A brief account of what they are doing to my friend. They actually enlist people to help stalk, harass, and issue out hate to this person and several other people in San Francisco. My friend was harassed so much that it became a danger to keep living in their home they had lived in for many years. So they have to move out with no place to move to because they are not safe in their own home where they pay rent. Sirens would go off anytime. She thinks about racism or topics heard on radio station KPFA. It's just too many things to list. So I'll repeat that again. Sirens go off whenever she talks about racism or topics heard on a radio station which airs many alternative news stories. That is not unusual. Anonymous continues, when my friend was at home, she was harassed constantly by sounds made in response to everything she said and did in her apartment. My friend was not allowed to sleep through the night for over a year and a half. Anonymous continues, the harassers enlisted other tenants to watch her like a hawk. When she came home, who came to visit when she left? The firefighters would verbally taunt her and make sounds in concert with the tenants in that building. Some of the tenants in that building are friends with these firefighters doing the gang stalking and harassing. And Eleanor White commenting here, it seems that, according to David Lawson's book, Terrorist Stalking in America, harassment by firefighters is fairly common. I'm not sure exactly why this is. The only thing I can think of is that people who are very highly motivated towards doing community service, such as firefighters are also very susceptible to lies about a target. And I'm sure that the firefighters who are doing the harassing believe that the target is a major criminal of some sort and that they're actually doing community service. Anonymous continues, when my friend would leave home, the home would be broken into, water and food tampered with. Eavesdropping on phone calls took place and listening through walls. My friend walks around the city and is followed by police cars, also fire trucks. They actually let my friend know, and they don't try to hide their work vehicles. Whenever my friend talks about the harassment on the phone, sirens from the fire department or police sirens go off as soon as she puts down the phone. To confuse things even worse, these harassers enlist people who have something in common with the target. For example, they enlist people of color, gays and lesbians, women and men. I believe this is done so that none of the isms can be used as the reason why the harassment is taking place. In other words, what they're doing here is making sure that there is a wide mix of people from all different lifestyles, so the target is unable to pinpoint one particular group as the cause of the harassment. Anonymous continues, it is the saddest thing to me to watch the hell and torture they put my friend through. And the most hurtful part of all is there isn't much information about this in any media in San Francisco, so the support is very limited for now. My friend is being forced to hide out. My friend is disabled, and this makes life even harder. This is so cruel. These criminals are basically getting away with being abusive, which these perps seem to enjoy invoking, and they have no compassion at all. They have made that very clear from their deeds. I sometimes wonder why there isn't more in the media about this. I wonder if it's because people are afraid to report on such activities because they don't want to be the next target. Eleanor White commenting, that's quite possible. And in fact, some neighbors who don't want to cooperate in the harassment are threatened by the perpetrators. Anonymous continues, I hope this write-up encourages more people going through it in San Francisco to speak out. It needs to be exposed and stopped. This from R, November 2004, and this is another list. If I were to fully elaborate on each of the following occurrences, I would end up writing a book. Now a list from hell. In my last year, 1. A disgustingly obnoxious amount of street theater performances. I give 2 thumbs down. These have not been limited to cars and pedestrians swarming me. Sometimes nearly all the customers in the store will file into line just as I'm about to check out. Everyone clearing their throat at once, and people making nonsensical statements. I experience blatant acts of this stupidity literally every single time I go out in public. 2. When involved in a conversation, the other participants will suddenly begin acting nervous, twitching, and moving about, and abruptly changing the subject. Occasionally, they will all leave the room at once. 3. Members of my extended family appear to be in on this. Eleanor White commenting, this is widely the case and is very likely caused by perpetrators masquerading as police, telling lies to family members about the target. 4. R continues, it appears that I must have a horrible reputation now. When in public I am leered at and whispered about. Often store clerks are quite rude or I am outright ignored. Recently I moved to a different town. Not one store clerk among many would let me have a single cardboard box. My extended family, save 1 or 2 people, refused to speak to me, and I have been told that I am not welcome in any of their homes. No one will, however, tell me a damn thing. And Eleanor White commenting, classic gang stalking here. Lies do amazing things to friends, family, neighbors, and business associates. R continues, my computer continuously crashing, my passwords becoming invalid, being leered at and whispered about by coworkers. 12. I wake up every night at almost the same time, and I mean awake. By the time I fall back asleep, it is almost time to get up. Eleanor White commenting, this is classic gang stalking. The old medical device, the Leda machine, can do this. Eleanor White commenting, gang stalking targets are not insane. The vigilante gang members are. R continues, there is more. I feel so isolated. I wish I had a friend. Life has become ugly. Well, folks, that's it for anecdotes for today. I could go on, and we will go on in future shows. But I hope I've given you a glimpse of what life is like when you're being targeted by vigilante stalking gangs.